multiple times, please join in that group. Yeah. Hi guys. Good evening, everyone. Yeah. Fine, guys. Welcome to Ashok IT. Good. In the last week, we conducted free workshop on Docker tool. Okay. This week, we are going to understand what is Jenkins and why we need to go for Jenkins. Today we are going to learn what is Jenkins software and why we need to go for this Jenkins software, how to work with this Jenkins software, what problems will be solved by using this Jenkins software. Let's get started. As part of this Jenkins workshop, this is one-day workshop. Today we are going to complete our discussion related to Jenkins. As part of this Jenkins workshop, we are going to learn what is Jenkins, why we need to go for Jenkins, okay? In the real time, what is project build and deployment process, how we are going to build and deploy our project in the real time, okay? And what are the challenges available with the project build and deployment process, okay? And how we are going to automate the project build and deployment process by using CI/CD concept. CI stands for continuous integration. CD stands for continuous delivery or continuous deployment. And finally, we are going to create one Jenkins pipeline, which is used to automate project build and deployment process. Then conclusion, if you have any questions at the end of the session, you can ask the questions that you have. So as part of today's session, we are going to learn these concepts. What is the Jenkins? Why Jenkins? What is the project build and deployment process? What are the challenges involved with the manual build and deployment process? What is the CI/CD? How to create pipeline in the Jenkins to deploy our code in the server, and conclusion. All right. So if we see, first of all, what is the project build and deployment process? So we are the developers, guys. A project will have dev team. Development team will be available. In the dev team, multiple team members will be available. So these team members will write some code and they will keep that code into GitHub repository. GitHub is called source code repository server that is used for code integration. All the developers code will be integrated in the GitHub repository. Once code is integrated in the GitHub, what we need to do? We need to take that latest code from the GitHub repository. Then we need to compile our project source code. We are going to use Maven as our Gradle as a build tool. By using those build tools, we will compile source code of the project. Then if any unit test cases are available, in general, JUnit we are going to use it to implement unit test cases for the application. We need to execute those unit test cases. Then we need to package our application as a jar file or war file. If it is a Spring Boot application, we'll package as a jar file. If it is a normal Java web application without Spring Boot, then we will package that as a war file. So once the jar or war is created, we need to create Docker image for our application. So every application will be executed as a container nowadays, right? We are going to implement containerization concept for project execution. Now we need to build Docker image for our application. Then we need to create Docker container in order to run our application. So these steps are called build and deployment process steps. So in general, in the real time, DevOps engineers are going to perform this build and deployment process for our application. So as a dev team, we will write some coding and we will test our code. Then we will integrate our code into GitHub repository. Once code integration completed, operations part will start. Operations team is going to work on the code. Those people will take the latest code from the GitHub repository. They will compile the code by using Maven. They will execute unit test cases. They will package our project as a jar file or war file. Once the jar or war is created, they need to create Docker image for our application. With that Docker image, they need to create Docker container. This is the project build and deployment process. Earlier, people used to follow this project build and deployment process manually. Earlier, so DevOps engineers will be available. They will go to the project. They will do all these activities in order to build and deploy that application. Now, here nowadays, we are not going to perform the build and deployment process manually. Why we are not going to perform build and deployment process manually? If we perform project build and deployment process manually, there are so many challenges are available. So there are so many challenges available if we perform project build and deployment process manually. What are those challenges? What are the challenges available if you want to build and deploy that code manually? The first challenge, every day latest code will be committed to Git repository. 10 developers available. Every day they will write some new code. They will modify some existing code. Whenever there is a code change, they need to build and they need to deploy that code. It's not lifetime one time in the life. It is everyday task for the DevOps team. So now, first morning 9 o'clock, I committed my code changes. They need to deploy the latest code. 10 o'clock, another developer committed the code in the GitHub. 11 o'clock, one more developer committed. 2 o'clock, one more developer committed. So continuously, the code changes are happening in the GitHub. So dev team is working on the development activity. Continuously, they are modifying the code. They are integrating that code in the GitHub repository. Whenever code is modified in the GitHub, that latest code should be deployed in the server. So every day we need to deploy latest code. So and that too, that code deployment will not happen in only one system. Last week we have seen dev environment will be available, SIT, UAT, pilot, production. So whenever code is modified, directly we cannot deploy in the production. We need to test that code is working as expected or not. So first we will test in the local, then that code should be tested in the dev, then code should be tested in the SIT, it should be tested in the UAT, pilot, production. So 5 to 6 environments will be available. So they need to deploy the same code in the 5 environments for the testing purpose. Once the testing is completed successfully, finally they will deploy the code in the production. So we need to deploy latest code every day, multiple times in a day, and multiple environments will be available. So if you want to deploy your code in 5 environments, I have deployed in the 5 environments. After my deployment completed, again code is changed. Again, I need to deploy in the 5 environments. After 1 hour, again code is changed. Again, I need to deploy in the, that means it is going to take lot of time. So build and deployment, if you do manually, you need to do the same task again and again. You need to do the same task again and again. Repeated work will be available for the operations team. What is that repeated work? Download the code, package that code, test that code, and package that as a jar or var, create a Docker image, create a Docker container. After 5 minutes, again same thing. After 1 hour, again same thing. After 3 hours, again same thing. Repeated work will be available when you do this process manually. And as we are doing this process manually, there is a chance of doing mistakes also. As a human, it's common thing that everybody will do the mistake. Okay. Now, when I'm doing some deployment, All of a sudden, I got one important call. By mistake, I have not packaged my project properly. By mistake, I have not created the Docker image properly. Instead of deploying one Docker image, I have used old Docker image to deploy the container. So there is a chance of doing some mistakes when we are doing this process manually. So that's why manual build and deployment process is not recommended. So in the companies, we need to automate that project build and deployment process. What is the meaning of automation? Whenever my code is modified, immediately that code should be deployed in the server. When code is modified immediately, that code should be deployed in the server. That is called build and deployment automation process. Now here, if you see here, we are going to use Jenkins to automate project build and deployment process, whatever the steps that I have shown you. So build and deployment process. So whatever the things that we are doing manually, these things can be automated by using Jenkins software. So I hope you got the clarity. What is Jenkins? Jenkins is used to automate project build and deployment process. Whatever the work that we do manually, that work can be automated by using Jenkins. You no need to take the code from GitHub. You no need to use Maven goals to package your project. You no need to package your application every time. So you write the Jenkins pipeline, you execute the Jenkins pipeline. Our work will be taken care by Jenkins now. Good. Now see here, manual deployment process having some risk. So every day we need to deploy the latest code. Every day we need to deploy the code in the multiple environments, and it is going to take a lot of time. Every day we need to do the same thing again and again. Repeated work will be available and error prone. Error prone nothing but there is a chance of doing some mistakes when manual work is there. When a human is doing the work manually, there is a chance of doing some mistakes also. To avoid all these problems in the project, we are going to use a software called Jenkins software. What is this Jenkins? Jenkins is free and open source software. Docker also free software only. Jenkins is also free software only. In the last week, we used Docker, which is used to deploy the application. Today, we are going to use Jenkins with Docker to automate build and deployment process of the application. So what is Jenkins? Jenkins is free and open source software. So this Jenkins is developed using Java language only. So it is a Java based project, guys. Jenkins software is developed by using Java. And by using this Jenkins, we can automate any project. By using Jenkins, we can deploy .NET application also. By using Jenkins, we can deploy Python application also. By using Jenkins, we can deploy Java application also. Jenkins is free and open source software. This Jenkins software is developed using Java language, and this Jenkins is used to automate build and deployment process. Build means taking the code, compiling the code, packaging that code, and creating the Docker image. Deployment means creating the container is called as deployment of the application. Whatever the work that we do manually, that manual work can be automated by using this Jenkins software. Are you clear? And by using this Jenkins, we can implement CI/CD, continuous integration and continuous deployment. CI/CD means when developer modifies some code, within fraction of seconds, my code should be deployed in the server. When developer modify the code, within fraction of seconds, my code should be deployed in the server. For that, we are going to use this Jenkins. Jenkins is called as CI/CD server, which is used to automate project build and deployment process. This Jenkins developed using Java language, and Jenkins is free and open source software. You no need to purchase the license to use Jenkins. You can directly install Jenkins in your system and you can automate project build and deployment process. Are you guys able to follow me? Good. Can you tell me what is Jenkins now? Jenkins is free and open source software. It is developed using Java language. And why we will use Jenkins? It is used to automate build and deployment process. What we can do by using this Jenkins? We can implement CI/CD. What is the meaning of CI/CD? Continuous integration and continuous delivery. Continuous delivery and will be available. That means when a developer modify the code, it will perform the build and deployment operation. Okay, now let me go for Jenkins setup, guys. I want to set up Jenkins server. Jenkins you can use in the Windows operating system as well as in the Linux operating system also. In the real time, Jenkins will be configured in the Linux machine only. So for practice purpose, you can use Jenkins in the Windows, but in the real time, DevOps people will set up this Jenkins machine. DevOps people will take one Linux machine. In that Linux machine, they are going to install Jenkins server. By using that Jenkins server, they will create a CI/CD pipeline. By using that pipeline, we are going to automate our project build and deployment process. How that pipeline is going to look like? So let us see how the pipeline will be available. Okay, now a Jenkins job. What we are going to do today is we are going to create one Jenkins job. That Jenkins job is going to automate this process. Developers will write the code. Developers will keep the code into GitHub. So when the code is pushed to the GitHub, then Jenkins will trigger. Jenkins job will be triggered. Jenkins will download the code from the GitHub. Jenkins will communicate with Maven to package our application, compile our application and package our application. Once Maven build is completed, Jenkins will communicate with the Docker to create a Docker image for the project. Once a Docker image created for our application, we are going to create a Docker container by using that Docker image, which is called CI/CD pipeline. Now, once this Jenkins job is created, when I run that job, it will automate my build and deployment process. So in the real time, DevOps people will set up a Jenkins server. DevOps people will create the CI/CD pipeline for the build automation. But developers also should have the idea what is that CI/CD pipeline in the project, how the project is getting deployed in the real servers. In the interview, they will ask this question. Can you tell me what is the CI/CD pipeline in the project? So can you tell me how your CI/CD pipeline is developed? Can you tell me what are the steps available in your project CI/CD pipeline? Do you have any experience in writing the CI/CD pipeline? Do you know how to execute the CI/CD pipeline available in the Jenkins? Okay. So for the developers also, Jenkins knowledge is mandatory. Are you able to follow this? Now, so for the developers, how to create the pipeline, how to execute the pipeline, that knowledge is sufficient. But when it comes to DevOps engineers, we are going to teach Jenkins for 10 days for the DevOps people, because DevOps people are going to work with Jenkins administration also. For the developers, that administration is not required. You should have idea what is Jenkins, how to install Jenkins, how to create the pipeline, how to execute the pipeline. That much knowledge if you have, you can keep Jenkins in your resume. Are you getting my point? Today, this Jenkins workshop I am conducting by keeping developers in my mind. Okay, I'm not going to touch anything related to administration part in the Jenkins. Jenkins administration will take 1 week of time. Okay, so here we are going to learn how to set up Jenkins in the Linux machine, how to create pipeline in the Jenkins, how to automate our project build and deployment process. Are you clear with this one? So today our workshop agenda, we need to do this project setup by using Git, Maven, Jenkins, Docker. I'm setting up. So this in the DevOps batch, this is called one project for them. So we are going to do one DevOps project today. As part of this DevOps project, we are integrating Git, Maven, Jenkins, Docker. What is the role of Git here? Code will be available. Git is a source code repository server. All the developers code will be integrated in the GitHub. What is the role of Maven? It is a build tool. Take the latest code and compile that code, execute the test cases and package that code. What is the role of Docker? Create a Docker image, create a Docker container. So who will do these activities? Earlier, people used to do manually, but today, Jenkins will do these activities. What is the role of Jenkins here? CI/CD server. Why we are using this Jenkins here? To automate build and deployment process. Whatever the work that we do manually, now I want to automate that work. Are you clear? Now, so I'm going to set up this Jenkins server in one Linux machine. Okay, how to set up Jenkins server in the Linux machine? I have created one beautiful document also for that. So how we have done the Docker setup in the Linux machine? Similarly, we are going to set up Jenkins server in the Linux machine. I prepared one document, Jenkins Docker integration. Jenkins with Docker project I have created. Project setup using below tools. What are the tools we are going to use? Maven, GitHub, Jenkins, Docker. Maven is a build tool. GitHub is a repository. Jenkins is CI/CD. Docker is containerization. In future, in the same project, Kubernetes will be added. Today, we are creating Docker container directly. In the real time, once a Docker image is created, Kubernetes will come into picture to create the containers. That is orchestration platform. So today we are not talking about Kubernetes. Jenkins Docker integration we are going to do today. Now, first step. What is the step one? Jenkins server setup in the Linux machine. We need to create one Linux machine in the AWS cloud. In that Linux machine, before installing Jenkins, first we need to install Java. Why Java is required? Why Java is required? Jenkins is developed by using Java language only. Once Java is installed, then we will install Jenkins in the Linux. You just need to copy this script and you need to execute, guys. These are Linux commands to install that software in the Linux machine. Then we are going to start the Jenkins. Then we will verify Jenkins is running or not. Once Jenkins is started, we are going to access Jenkins in our browser. Jenkins will use by default 8080 as a port number. So our Tomcat server will use 8080 as a port number, right? Similarly, Jenkins also will use 8080 as a default port number. By using our public IP, we are going to access Jenkins in the browser. To log in into Jenkins, Jenkins password is required. We will copy the Jenkins password from here. Then we are going to install Maven in the Jenkins. We are going to install Docker in the Jenkins, and we are going to create Jenkins job, and we will execute that job. Then we are going to access our application. Jenkins with Docker integration. Let me log in into my AWS account in order to create a virtual machine. Let me log in into my AWS account. 1 minute, guys. You got the clarity? What is build and deployment process? What is build and deployment process? What is the build and deployment process? Which is used to take the code, build that code, deploy that code. That we are doing manually, but today it will be automated. Let me log in into my account. Perfect. I'm able to log in into my Jenkins account. Now, the first step that I need to do in this Jenkins account, I need to create one EC2 machine. What is the EC2 machine I'm creating? Ubuntu machine I'm creating. In the last week, we used Amazon Linux machine. This week, we are using Ubuntu machine. Amazon Linux, Ubuntu, these are called Linux distributions, guys. Both are Linux only, different flavors available. Now go here, click on launch instance. Online people, after this class, I will share this document and I will share this video also. Please join in that WhatsApp group. Group link I have given in the chat box. Last week also I told more than 10 times, join in the group to get the Docker videos. I have shared videos in the Docker group, but minimum to minimum 100 to 150 people call to receptionist. Where is Docker video? So when we explain that how to get that video, people will not listen. After that, they will do continuous back-to-back calls for the admin team. Where is Docker video? Please share the Docker notes. Please share the Docker videos. I already told 10 times. Please join in the group so that after the class is completed, you will get that document. So today also same thing. I'm giving WhatsApp group link in the chat box. After today's class is completed, this workshop video, this workshop notes, I will share in that WhatsApp group. Good, fine. So now I'm going to create one Linux machine in the AWS cloud. To create that Linux machine, launch instance. You can select any machine, any name for the machine. I'm using machine name as Jenkins server. What is the OS I am going to use? Linux. Either you can go with Amazon Linux or Ubuntu. But so this session, I'm going to use Ubuntu. You also use Ubuntu. The reason is whatever the commands I have given, these commands will not work in the Amazon Linux. The document I prepared based on the Ubuntu Linux machine. So please use Ubuntu Linux machine to start this Jenkins server. Now, so select Ubuntu, and here guys, T2 Micro is available, which is a free tier. In the AWS, T2 Micro is free. 1 year free of cost, that machine we are going to use. But the problem is this machine is having how much RAM guys? 1 GB RAM. If I install Jenkins plus Docker in the same machine, 1 GB RAM is not sufficient. Minimum to minimum 2 GB or 4 GB RAM is required. So here, instead of going for T2 micro machine, I will go for T2 medium machine, which will give me 4 GB of RAM. But this T2 medium is not free. Hourly bill will be generated. Per hour, they are charging $0.04. If you run this machine for 1 hour, not even $1, not even $0.50 also, $0.0 bill will be generated, which is negligible. So you will use this machine for 1 hour. After that, you delete that machine. This is just for practice purpose. So if you don't want to get the bill, then you need to go for T2 micro. But what is the problem with the T2 micro? It's very less configuration system. 1 GB RAM only available. 1 GB RAM not sufficient to run the Jenkins machine. Okay, that's why I'm going with the T2 medium instance today. And the key pair. If you have the key pair already, you can select that key pair. If you don't have that key pair, you need to create the key pair. So let me create a new key pair. I'm creating this as Jenkins. I'm creating a PEM file. Click on create key pair. When I create key pair, the PEM file is downloaded in the system, which is used to connect with our Linux machine. Now, new PEM file I have created. Security group, I'm selecting that create new security group. Then click on launch instance. So what are the changes we have done today? I used Ubuntu Linux machine and I used T2 medium machine. I mentioned that in the document also. Create Ubuntu VM using T2 medium. 4 GB RAM will be available. I created new key pair. That's it. Click on launch instance. So with this, my machine is getting started. Once this machine is started, let us connect with this Linux machine by using Mobile Extreme software. Okay, so let's wait. The machine will come into running state. Once the machine is started, we can see public IP of that machine. Using that public IP, we can connect with that machine. Still it is loading. Still in the pending state. Still the machine is in the pending state. Once that's converted it to running state, then we can connect with that machine by using the PEM file that we have downloaded. Okay, good. I hope now the machine is in the running state. Let me go to Mobile Extreme now. Sir, here, if you don't know what is the username of the machine, you simply use connect option. When you click connect option, it will display public IP and username. What is the username? Ubuntu. If you go with Amazon Linux, username is EC2 user. If you go with Ubuntu Linux, username is Ubuntu. Now, copy this public IP, go to this mobile extrom, session, SSH, remote host, public IP address, username, Ubuntu. Then, so some people writing Ubuntu, that's mistake, right? You need to be careful with your spelling. It is Ubuntu. Now, SSH settings, select the private key that is downloaded today. That is Jenkins PEM file. Click on OK. So with this, I'm able to connect with my Linux machine. So in this Linux machine, currently no software is available. Only Git will come by default, but Java is not available. Jenkins is not available. Now I want to install the softwares in this machine. So the first thing that I need to install is Java. The reason, our target is to install Jenkins, but Jenkins is developed by using Java. First we need to install Java software. Okay, before installing Java, let me check version of the Java here. Java version, what it is saying, Java not found, but you can install the Java by using these commands. You can install Java 8, Java 19, 18, 17, 11 also. Okay, here I have given the command to install Java 17. Okay, just you click on this icon, this script will be copied. Go to this machine, just right click, paste and enter. Now this Linux machine downloading Java software. So to install that Java software, we have used a command like this. We use this command. This is going to update the packages. This will install Java in the Linux. It will print which version of Java is installed. Okay. Asking for confirmation. Yes, confirm. Java is getting installed. All right. Java 17 is getting installed in this Linux machine. Taking time. Yeah, almost completed, guys. Done. Finally, Java is installed in our system. Okay, it is printing version also. Which version of Java installed? Java 17 version got installed. Once Java installation completed, what is the next step now? We need to install Jenkins now. You can install Jenkins directly like this, or you can install Jenkins by using Docker also. You can run Jenkins as a Docker container also. But here I'm installing Jenkins manually. So this is the script which is used to install Jenkins in the Ubuntu machine. This script will not work in the Amazon Linux, guys. It is only for Ubuntu. Copy this script here, go to mobile extrom and execute it. Now it is downloading and installing Jenkins. Asking for confirmation, click on yes. Yes. Yeah, it's taking time. So Java installation completed. Jenkins installation is in progress. We are waiting for Jenkins installation to be completed. Yeah, finally, Jenkins installation got completed, guys. Let's verify Jenkins is really installed or not. By using this, enable the Jenkins and start the Jenkins server. So first we installed Java, then we installed Jenkins, then we are going to enable the Jenkins and we are going to start the Jenkins. Copy this script, go here and execute. Two commands I'm executing at a time. Right. So with this, our Jenkins server is started. Jenkins server started. Verify the status of the Jenkins. Really, this Jenkins is working or not. Copy this command and verify status of the Jenkins. It should display status as active. Now you see, when I execute status of Jenkins, what it is saying? Active. So Jenkins server is running in our machine. So once you execute this status command, just press Ctrl C to come out of the terminal. Now, so in this machine, Java installed. Using that Java, Jenkins also installed. Jenkins server will run by default on the port number 8080. By default, it is going to run on the port number 8080. Now, if I want to access this Jenkins server, I need to enable that port number in the security group, guys. So let us go to our machine, EC2 machine, inbound rules, EC2 machine, go to the machine which is running Jenkins server, go to security. In the security group is available. Open this security group, then go to inbound rules, click on edit inbound rules, click on edit inbound rules. Right. Now go and add the rule. What is the protocol of the Jenkins, guys? Jenkins will use which protocol? Come on. What is the protocol Jenkins is going to use? Jenkins is going to use a protocol called 8080. Okay. You are missing the movie feeling, huh? Yeah. So we are running Jenkins machine. Jenkins is running on the port number 8080. Click on save the rule. So with this, inbound rule is updated. When I run the Jenkins machine, it will run on the port number 8080. So if I want to access that Jenkins, I need to enable that 8080 port number in the security group of my EC2 machine. Then once it is enabled, go to browser in the Windows machine, public IP :8080. Now, so we are trying to access our Jenkins. Is it opening by default? Not opening by default. It is asking to unlock the Jenkins. That means it is expecting some password. Where that password is available, this is the location where the password is available. Now, so you need to copy this password from this location. To copy that password, I have given a command. Copy Jenkins admin password. You need to use this command to copy the password. Just to copy this command, go to MobiXTROM, execute this command. Now I got the password. This is my Jenkins password. To copy anything from the Linux machine, if you just select, which is equal to Control-C, you no need to write Control-C here. You no need to type Control-C. If I just select, that means it is copied. Then go to our unlock Jenkins page, enter password we copied, Control-V. Then there is option continue. Yes, now my Jenkins is unlocked. It is giving two options: install plugins which are required for the Jenkins. My Jenkins should communicate with Maven. My Jenkins should communicate with the Git, right? Some plugins are required. If you don't want the plugins, if you want to install the plugins manually, then you need to go for select plugins to install. Install suggested plugins. I will choose the first option. When I choose the first option, it will tell you, it is going to install some mandatory plugins for our Jenkins machine. And here they will ask one question in the interview. Which version of Jenkins is used in your project? Okay. Below you can see the version number is displaying. Okay. You can see that Jenkins 2.4 version we are using. So this is the interview question. They will ask how your project build and deployment is happening. We will tell by using Jenkins. Can you tell me which version of Jenkins you are using? So you need to be very careful with these minor details also. Especially when you go for experienced interview, these kind of questions will be there. And they will ask you, can you tell me what plugins you have installed in the Jenkins? Okay, here I'm going with the suggested plugins in the Jenkins. Now, just to click on this one. Once you click on this, it is going to take 5 minutes of time to install plugins which are required for our Jenkins server. So Jenkins is one software. We have taken one Linux machine. In that Linux machine, we installed Java. Using Java, we installed Jenkins. Now we are trying to set up the Jenkins server. To set up the Jenkins server, we are installing some suggested plugins. The plugins installation will take some time. You see, it is installing Git. Git plugin will come. It is installing Gradle. It is installing Ant. It is installing pipeline plugins. It is installing mailer plugin. It is installing theme plugins also. We have to wait here, guys. This process should be completed. Then we will go for the next page in the Jenkins setup. Are you clear? So any questions so far? What is the Jenkins? Jenkins is a CI/CD server. Why we are using this Jenkins CI/CD server? To automate project build and deployment. Why we need to automate build and deployment? To avoid the manual process. What are the challenges in the manual process? Every day we need to do the deployments. Multiple times we need to do the deployments. In multiple environments we need to do the deployment, and repeated work will be there every day, and lot of time to take, and there is a chance of doing mistakes also when we are doing the work manually. So to avoid the challenges with the manual build and deployment process, we are going to use Jenkins. By using Jenkins, we can automate that process. Jenkins is a free software developed by using Java. If you want to run Jenkins in the machine, first Java should be installed. Now, I am running Jenkins in the Linux machine. You can install Jenkins in the Windows also, but if you install Jenkins in the Windows, you will not get the real feel of the deployment process, because in the real time, we don't use Jenkins in the Windows. So Jenkins setup will be there in the Linux machine. Who will do this setup in the real time? DevOps people. Okay, today we are learning one DevOps tool. Docker is also a DevOps tool. Jenkins also DevOps tool. 5 years back, only DevOps engineers used to work with these tools. Today, developers also working with these tools. Right. Almost completed the plugins installation process. Yeah. Once the plugins installation process completed, it is asking to create one user to use this Jenkins. Okay, give the username Ashok IT and password, confirm password and name. This account we are creating is going to act as a admin account, guys. Click on save and continue. I have given my username and password. Instance configuration. This is my Jenkins URL now. Click on save and finish. Jenkins is ready. Start using Jenkins. So with this, our Jenkins setup is completed. We are able to log in into Jenkins dashboard. We are able to log in into Jenkins dashboard. This is brand new Jenkins server. Nothing is available in this. Okay. So simply let's log out, and this is the login page of the Jenkins. Now I created my account in the Jenkins. So let me log in into my account. My username and password, I'm able to log in into my Jenkins server. With this, Jenkins setup is completed. Now in this Jenkins, I need to create jobs. Job is nothing but I need to create a pipeline to automate my project build and deployment process. I need to automate my project build and deployment process. Now, in order to automate that build and deployment process, there is an option called create job option is available. What is that option, guys? Create job option is available. Now, once you go to create job option, there are multiple options available to create the job. One is freestyle project. Another one is pipeline. When you are beginner in the Jenkins, you can create the job by using freestyle project. Freestyle project means GUI will be available to create the Jenkins project. To create the job in the Jenkins, when you select a freestyle project, GUI will be available. But in the real time, we don't create with the GUI. We are going to create with the pipeline. We are going to create with the pipeline. Now, let me click on pipeline here. It is asking name of the job. Okay. So let me give this one Ashok IT job 1. I'm giving the name as Ashok IT job 1. So if you go to freestyle project, GUI will be available to create the job. If I go for pipeline, script will be available to create the pipeline. Let me go with the pipeline. Click on OK. Now, with this, my Jenkins job, pipeline creation is started. Pipeline creation started. So you can write the description. This is my first Jenkins pipeline. This is my first Jenkins pipeline. Now, so here there are so many options available. We'll come to those options later point of time. I'm going to my job creation. I have given the name. I have selected pipeline. Below, there is the option pipeline. Here, you need to write the script to write the Jenkins pipeline. Jenkins pipeline, we can create in two ways, guys. Jenkins pipeline, we can create in the two ways. One is by using declarative approach. Another one is by using scripted approach. Scripted approach, nothing but Groovy language we are going to use to write the Jenkins pipeline. How we have a Java language, similarly, Groovy language will be available to write the Jenkins pipeline. That is one option. If you don't know the Groovy language, then you can go for scripted pipeline. Scripted pipeline is like a plain English only. So just like how you will write the English statements, in the same way, we are going to write Jenkins declarative pipeline. So here, we are new to this pipeline. We don't know how to write the pipeline. So that's why Jenkins is giving hello world pipeline. You just take an option called hello world. When you take the option called hello world, it is giving syntax for the pipeline. Okay, Jenkins pipeline syntax will be available like this. I'm not doing anything. Just I'm selecting hello world, click on apply, click on save. So with this, my Jenkins job is created. This job is a Jenkins pipeline. Any logic available in the pipeline? No, just I selected hello world pipeline. If I run this job, Jenkins will print hello world message for me. Are you able to follow this? Now, so let me delete this job. Let me create once again, guys. Let me delete this pipeline. I deleted that. Observe carefully. What are the steps I'm going to follow to create the pipeline in the Jenkins? What is the meaning of pipeline? Water pipeline, right? So this apartment is having 5 floors. Water tanker is available on the terrace. How the water is coming from terrace to all the floors? A pipeline is available. Set of steps available. In the first floor, they will give one tap connection. In the second floor, tap connection, like that. A pipeline is available to pass the water from top floor to till ground floor. Similarly, in the Jenkins, pipeline is nothing but series of steps, guys. Pipeline is nothing but series of steps. First step, take the code from the GitHub. Second step, package by using Maven. Third step, build a Docker image. Fourth step, create a Docker container. So like this, we will have series of steps in the pipeline. Set of steps in the Jenkins job is called one pipeline. Now, how to create that pipeline in the Jenkins? Observe. First, go to the Jenkins dashboard. Here there is an option called create job, or you can use the option called new item. So select new item. So give the name. So I'm giving the name Ashok IT job 1. My first job I am creating. 2 options available. What are the 2 options? Freestyle project is available and pipeline is available. What is the difference between that? One is with a GUI, second one is with a code. Scripting we are going to do. So if you don't know that pipeline coding, that pipeline scripting, then you need to use freestyle option. If your project is very simple, if your build and deployment process is very simple, then you can go for freestyle project. But in the real time, Git will be available, Jenkins, Maven, Docker, SonarQube, Nexus, Kubernetes, lot of tools will be integrated in the pipeline. So project pipeline, complex process. Okay, so we are going to use the scripted approach to create the pipeline to automate build and deployment process. If you are a beginner, if you don't know the scripting in the Jenkins, then you can go with freestyle approach. But I'm going to show you pipeline approach today. So let's select a option called pipeline. Now, so once you select this pipeline, click on OK. Now, description is available. Some advanced project options available. Directly I'm going to pipeline. I don't know the syntax. So how to take the syntax now? Select hello world. Here there is option. Try sample pipeline, hello world, GitHub plus Maven integration pipeline. If you select GitHub plus Maven integration, pipeline is coming here. So this is the syntax, how the pipeline looks like. If you want to go with a scripted pipeline, you see the difference. If your pipeline is starting with a keyword called node, that is Groovy scripting. That is a scripted pipeline. If your pipeline is starting directly with a keyword called pipeline keyword, that is declarative pipeline. So there are two types of pipelines in the Jenkins: declarative pipeline, scripted pipeline. So today we are going to use declarative pipeline. Why? Because we don't know Groovy. We don't know Groovy. That's why I'm going for declarative pipeline. Declarative pipeline is a plain English only. How you will write the plain English keywords, in the same way we are going to write our declarative pipeline. You see here that is starting with the pipeline, agent any, stages available. First stage is hello stage. In the stage, steps available. In the steps, echo hello world. It is equal to system.println, system.out.println. In the Java, what is the purpose of system.out.println? To print a message on the console. In the Linux, echo is used to print the message on the console. So in the Java, we have system.out.println to print a message on the console. In the Linux machine, echo command is available to print a message on the console. One sample step is available, one stage available in the pipeline. Then simply apply and save it. Okay. Now, once you create this pipeline, you can see in the dashboard, my job is created. Now open this job. Currently, any build history available? Because I have not executed that pipeline. I have not executed that pipeline. Now there is an option, changes, build now. Build now means execute the pipeline. So you execute your pipeline. Configure, you edit the pipeline, delete the pipeline. Okay, you can run the pipeline, you can edit the pipeline, you can delete the pipeline. Let me run the pipeline now. Click on build now option. Build is scheduled, build is executing. That means my pipeline is going to execute. My pipeline is executed successfully. How many stages available in the pipeline? Only one stage, which is printing hello message on the console. So when we run that build number will be generated. Build 1 is executed. That means my pipeline executed for first time. Okay, that is called build number. Build number is available. If you click on this build number 1, it will open console output. That means how the pipeline is executed, which user executed the pipeline, what is the output of the pipeline, what is the status of the pipeline. Everything is printing on the console. I am printing hello message. Hello world message is printed. So that pipeline is executed successfully, finished with a status called success. My pipeline is executed successfully. Are you able to follow this? Right. Now, this is dummy pipeline. Now I want to create a real pipeline. I want to create real pipeline. What my real pipeline has to do? This is the diagram. I want to create a CI/CD pipeline for this setup. When I run that pipeline, it should get my project from the GitHub. It should communicate with the Maven to build that project. It should communicate with the Docker to build the image, and it should execute the image. It should create the container for me. Are you able to follow this? Are you able to follow this? Now, what is a pipeline? What is a pipeline? Which is containing set of steps to automate build and deployment process. Now, how many stages are required in our pipeline? First stage, get the code from the GitHub. Download the code from the GitHub. Second stage, do the Maven build. Third stage, build a Docker image. Fourth stage, create the Docker container. So I need to create a Jenkins pipeline with 4 stages. I need to create a Jenkins pipeline with 4 stages. Now, what is the syntax we are going to follow to create that pipeline? Our pipeline will start with a keyword called pipeline keyword. It will start with a keyword called pipeline keyword, which represents it is a declarative pipeline. If I write a pipeline with a keyword called node, scripted pipeline, that is a Groovy scripting pipeline. Now I'm not writing that. Let me go for pipeline. Inside the pipeline, we are going to write one statement called agent any. What is the meaning of agent any? Today, we are taking one machine to run the Jenkins. Okay. But if this machine is crashed, if this machine is collapsed, all our jobs are gone, right? What I have created 30 jobs in my project, my machine is collapsed. Then whatever the Jenkins jobs I created, all the jobs are gone. So that's why in the real time, Jenkins cluster will be available. That means it's not like only one machine to deploy our application. In the real time, Jenkins master slave architecture will be available. So one master machine will be available, multiple slave machines will be available. So in which machine, there are 4 machines available. In which machine you want to execute the pipeline? For that, we are going to configure agent any. Today, we don't have a cluster. I have a single machine. If it is a real time, Jenkins cluster will be available. Jenkins backup also will be available. I think I have posted one video in our channel, how to take backup in the Jenkins. Okay. There is a plugin called Thin plugin is available. So if you see Jenkins backup, so whatever the jobs we created, we need to take that Jenkins backup. Where is that? Jenkins, yeah. Jenkins backup and restore. 4 months back, I posted one video for the DevOps people. Whatever the Jenkins jobs we are creating, if my machine is crashed, my jobs will be gone, right? The jobs will be deleted. I want to maintain the jobs in the backup. Whenever I want, I can restore that Jenkins backup also. This question also they will ask in the interview. How do you take backup of your jobs in the Jenkins? To take the Jenkins backup, there is a plugin which is called Thin backup plugin. Thin backup plugin we are going to use to take the backup of our Jenkins jobs. Got it? Fine. Next, come here. Syntax, agent any. That means in which machine you want to run your job. Currently, I don't have any machine. So I'm specifying agent any. If any, whatever the machine is available, in that machine, you run my job. So once it is done, then we are going to specify stages. We are going to specify stages. So a pipeline, nothing but set of stages. Now, so I'm going to write one stage here. First stage. For every stage, we will write a name. This is git to clone. In this stage, I will write the logic to clone the code from my GitHub repository. To clone the code from the GitHub repository, inside the stage, we are going to write the steps. Inside the steps, I'm going to specify git URL. I'm going to specify git URL. Now, when this stage is executed, Jenkins will download the code from the Git repository. Basically, it will perform git to cloning. This is equal to git cloning. This is my first stage, guys. So once this first stage completed, git cloning, then I will go for second stage. What is my second stage? My second stage is Maven build. My second stage is Maven build. So inside the stage, for every stage, name will be available. Inside the stage, steps will be available. What is the step? SH, MVN, clean package. I want to execute Maven goal. So what it is going to do? It will compile my project. It will package my project as a jar file or war file. This is one stage. Once the Maven package is completed, what is the next stage now? Docker image. I need to create Docker image. Inside this stage here, steps will be available. SH. What is the command to build the Docker image? Docker build -t image name space dot. So that command I'm telling to Docker. I'm telling to Docker to create the image. Now, who will execute that command? I will execute or Jenkins will execute? Jenkins is going to execute that command. Then what is my last stage? What is my last stage? Create the Docker container, which is deployment. So up to 3 stages are called build process. Download the code, package the code, create the Docker image. Once the Docker image is created, what is the final step here? Final step is deployment. Inside the stage, I'm going to write the steps. How to create the container? Docker run Docker run -d -p 9090:8080 space my image. We are done. So this is called CI/CD pipeline. So is there any code available? DevOps people will feel that this is coding. Are you getting my point? So we are teaching DevOps, right? Most of the people will feel that DevOps does not require any coding. So they will feel that programming is difficult. So many people who are coming for the counseling also, they will come and ask me, I don't like coding. I don't know coding. I want to go for non-coding jobs. Okay. If you don't want to go for the coding, then go for DevOps. Initially, they will feel very happy. Once Jenkins is started, we will write the pipeline. Ashok, you told that there is no coding, but today you are writing the coding. This is not coding. This is scripting. This is not coding. This is scripting. So as they don't know the programming, they will feel this is difficult. But for the programmers, Juzbi. So is it difficult? Is it difficult? Just English only, right? It is just English only. So stages available. Inside that stage, inside the step, we are writing the logic. That's it. So this is called Jenkins CI/CD pipeline. If you know how to write this CI/CD pipeline, 80% of the DevOps you know, because you know Git, you know Maven, you know Jenkins, you know Docker. You are going to learn Kubernetes. You are going to learn Kubernetes. You are going to learn Linux. You are going to learn AWS. Then what is there in the DevOps? Nothing. Nothing. You got my point? So this is called our CI/CD pipeline. So can you tell me what is the meaning of CI/CD pipeline? Set of steps, set of stages is called as CI/CD pipeline. In the interview, they will ask this question to the developers also. What are the stages available in the CI/CD pipeline? So in my pipeline, what stage available? Git to clone available, Maven build available, Docker image available, deployment. Here, how I am doing the deployment? I am doing Docker run. Directly, I am creating the Docker container. But in the real time, Kubernetes will come. In the real time, Kubernetes will come. Container creation will be taken care by Kubernetes. My Jenkins will talk to Kubernetes for the container creation. Jenkins, Docker, Kubernetes integration will be available. So in the JRTP, we are going to see that integration also. How to set up the Kubernetes cluster. How to integrate that Kubernetes cluster in the Jenkins pipeline. If I click the button, that Jenkins pipeline will execute. Take the code from the GitHub, build it by using Maven, create the Docker image, push the Docker image to Docker Hub, deploy the Docker image in the Kubernetes cluster. Everything can be automated. This is called CI/CD pipeline. Continuous integration and continuous deployment. You understand the syntax of the pipeline? Is it difficult? So it is starting with pipeline keyword. That means it is a declarative pipeline. What is the meaning of agent any? In the real time, multiple machines, which is called Jenkins master slave architecture in the real time. So in the real time, we are going to configure master slave architecture. So in the master machine, job will be created. In the slave machine, job will be executed. If I have 5 slave machines, in which slave you want to execute this job, we are going to configure the slave as agent. Suppose there is a machine 1 is available, VM1. I want to execute the job in the first machine. If I give it as the 2, I want to execute in the second machine. But today, do I have the slaves? No. That's why what I am typing? Any. Whatever the machine available, you run this job on that machine. Then after agent any, what is there? Stages available. Stages nothing but set of steps that you want to perform. Pipeline is the combination of multiple stages. Every stage is responsible to perform one operation. Git to cloning, one stage. Maven build, one stage. Image creation, one stage. Container creation, one stage. So total 4 stages available in my Jenkins pipeline. Total 4 stages available in the Jenkins pipeline. Are you able to follow this? Yes, fine. Now, let us write that real pipeline in the Jenkins, guys. One dummy pipeline we created. Now, can I go and create the real pipeline? To create the real pipeline, I need one Git repository. So my code is available in the GitHub. So let me take one Maven web application. Yeah, Maven web application available. This is my Maven project, which contains code. Take this repository. Okay, I'm copying this Git repository. This is my Git repo. This is my GitHub repository. That is my Java web application. It's not a Spring Boot application, guys. It's a normal Java web application. I will show you with the Spring Boot also. This is normal Java web application. I want to deploy this application by using Docker. So when we go for Docker workshop, I have deployed the same project first. I created a Docker image and I created a Docker container. Now go to pipeline. Let me create another pipeline now. What is the step? How do we create the pipeline? New item, name, Ashok IT job 2. Ashok IT job 2. Select the option, pipeline. Click on OK. Now, this is used to build and deploy Java web application using Git plus Maven plus Docker. Jenkins pipeline, which is going to take the code from the GitHub, which will communicate with the Maven and which will communicate with Docker. Then directly go to pipeline. Syntax, how to get it? Hello world. Okay, sample hello world pipeline is available. Now I want to change this pipeline. I want to write the actual logic. What is the first stage? What is the first stage? Git clone. Now what I need to do? Hello world message or cloning the repository? Cloning the repository. We need to clone the repository. To clone the repository, if you know the syntax, you can directly write it. If you don't know the syntax, Jenkins will help you to understand the syntax also. Okay. Now, what is this option? If you don't know how to write the stages in the Jenkins pipeline, then you can use one option called pipeline syntax. Go to pipeline syntax, open in the next tab. I opened pipeline syntax in the next tab. Okay, snippet generator is available here. What I want to do here, snippet generator, I want a stage for Git. Select Git here. Enter the repository URL. Which repository you want to clone? Enter the repository. In this repository, branches will be available. What is the branch you want? Master branch I want. Okay. Then select the branch name as master. If your repository is public, credentials are not required. If your repository is private, credentials you need to configure. My repository is public. Then simply generate the script. Click on this. This is the command which is used to clone the Git repository. Okay. Now select this one, select this line, keep that in the pipeline. Okay. Inside the steps, add this line. Inside the step, I'm adding Git. How many stages available? Only one stage is available. Can we check it? Is it working or not? Yes. Apply, save, run this job. Any history available? No. First time we are going to run the job. Click on build now. First time I'm going to run my job. Go to this one. Check the console output. How the job is executed. What it is doing. Who is cloning the repository? As a DevOps engineer, I am cloning or I am telling to Jenkins to clone the repository? I am telling to Jenkins to clone the repository. Are you able to understand? Right. Scroll down. What is the status now? Finished. Success. Okay. What is the second stage? What is the second stage? Maven build. We need to execute Maven goal to build our project. So tell to Jenkins, go to the job. How to edit the job? How to edit the job? Configure. Already one stage executed Git clone, which is success. Now go to configure. Go to pipeline. Edit it. Now, one stage already available. You need to be very careful with curly braces, guys. Okay, so this is one block. This is one block. This is one block. This is one block. So you should be careful with these curly braces. Now take one more stage. Take one more stage. You should not write the duplicate names. You need to write MVN build. We are doing Maven build. Remove this. Remove this. Now SH shell script command MVN clean package. I'm executing my Maven package goal, which is going to compile the project, test it, and package the project as a jar file or war file. Click on apply. Click on save. Okay. Now earlier my pipeline is having only one stage. Now my pipeline is having two stages. First stage is Git cloning. Second stage is Maven build. Okay. Let's run build now. One build already executed. I'm running second build now. Surprise. It will fail. Now my job is failed. When the job is failed, now you see there are two stages available. One stage got success, second stage got failed. Second stage got failed. So this is called build failure. This is called build failure. Why this build is failed? We need to check in the build history. We need to check in the build history. Go to this build number. Go to the build number. Go to the option called console output. Now you see first stage git clone is successful. Then Maven package I executed. Read the error. In this machine, Maven is not installed. In this machine, Maven software is not installed. So without Maven, how can you execute the Maven goal? If you want to execute the Maven goal, Maven software should be installed or not. But in this, Maven software is not installed. So that's why Maven goal is not executed. Now, Maven you can install in two ways, guys. One is you can directly install Maven software in the Linux machine in which Jenkins is running. Or else you can tell to the Jenkins software to download the Maven. Are you getting my point? So now I want to execute Maven package. Maven build I want to do. But in this machine, Maven software is not available. I can set up Maven in two ways. One is go to the Linux machine, directly install the Maven, one option. Second option, configure Maven as a plugin. Configure the Maven as a plugin or configure the Maven as a tool in the Jenkins machine. Second option is recommended. So don't install Maven directly on the Linux machine. So you configure the Maven in the Jenkins machine. You configure the Maven in the Jenkins machine. How do we configure Maven in the Jenkins machine? I have given one step for that. Okay, what is this? Configure Maven as global tool in the Jenkins. How do we configure? Go to manage Jenkins, go to tools, go to Maven installation and add the Maven. If you do this process, Jenkins will download the Maven. You no need to install the Maven separately. Jenkins will take care of the Maven. Can we configure Maven as a global tool? Come on. Yes. Go to Jenkins. Go to Jenkins dashboard. What is the option? Manage Jenkins. Go to manage Jenkins. What is the option? Tools. Now, in the tools, scroll down. Git is already configured as a default plugin, but Maven is not there. There is an option called Maven installation. Click on add Maven. What is the name you want to give for the Maven? I'm giving the name as M3. Why M3? Maven 3.x version it is downloading. You can choose which version of the Maven you want. So I'm choosing the latest version of the Maven, which is 3.9.x. What is the name I am giving for that? M3. So wherever I want to use the Maven, I need to refer that by using M3. Wherever I want to use the Maven, I need to refer that by using M3. You can give any name for that. You can give any name for that. Now, click on apply, click on save. So Maven setup is completed. So I told to Jenkins to download Maven as a tool which is required to execute build process of our application. Now, Maven is configured as a global tool. Now go to pipeline, dashboard, job 2. Second time it failed. Now, at that time it told that Maven is not found. Now, I configured Maven as a global tool. Let me run again. It is going to be third number. Number 3, bill now. Bill now. This is also failed. Can we see the reason? Can we see the reason why it failed after configuring the Maven as a tool also? Yes. Go to this one, console output, scroll down. What is the command? What is the error? Same. Before configuring the Maven as a global tool, after configuring the Maven as a global tool, we are getting the same issue. So Jenkins is downloading the Maven as a global tool, but our pipeline don't know where is that Maven in the Jenkins. Our pipeline don't know where is that Maven. We need to tell to what is the Maven, where is the Maven. Okay, go to pipeline, configure, go to pipeline. How I installed Maven, guys? How I installed Maven as a tool? I installed Maven as a tool. So I'm going to specify tools. What is the tool? Maven. What is the name I have given? M3. So if I specify tools Maven as M3, then it will recognize Maven is available as a global tool. It will take the Maven from the global tool. It will use for project build process. So any tools that you install in the Jenkins, you need to configure like this. Okay, we configured. If you install Maven directly in the Linux machine, this is not required. But installing Maven directly in the Linux is not recommended. We will configure that as a global tool in the Jenkins. So once we configure that as a global tool, we need to specify the tool name here. We need to specify tool name here. Click on apply. Click on save. Click on apply, click on save. Now, so this time our job number is going to be 4. First time only with Git it got success. Second time, third time it failed because it is not able to recognize where is the Maven. Now I configured it. Build now. I'm going to run 4th number. Yes, what is the first one? Declarative tools to install. Maven is installed. Maven is installed as a global tool. Git to clone is successful. Maven build also successful. So now if you run this job, it will download the code from the GitHub. It will package your project by using Maven. But where is Maven? Global tool. Maven we configured as a global tool. Now go to this number 4. Number 4 is success. Go to number 4. See the console output. See the console output. What is the first step? Running the Jenkins job 2. It is unpacking the Maven. That means Maven is downloaded because we configured as a global tool. Git to clone is completed. What is this? What is this? When we are doing Maven build for first time, it is downloading Maven dependencies. It is downloading Maven dependencies. Build got success. And finally, can you see this one? The project is packaged as a WAR file. Where is that WAR file? In the Linux machine. This is the path where the WAR file is available. It is available in the target directory. It is available in the target directory. This is the default path of our WAR. So this is my workspace of Jenkins. Jenkins install. This will be considered as a Jenkins workspace. In that my job name is available. In that job target folder, in the target folder, my WAR file is created. Can we go to that location? Can we see really WAR is available or not? Yes, copy this path. Copy this path. Then go to that path. Yep, I connected back to my Linux machine. I connected back to this Linux machine. CD space path. I entered into that path. Now what is my path? What is my present working directory? I'm in the Ashok IT job 2. ls-l. Now, can you see our project target folder is available? Yes. Now, let me print ls-l space target. Our WAR file is available. So if you have that much command on the Linux machine, then only you can do these kind of operations. So Linux knowledge is required. For the developer, suppose if I don't know Linux, can I teach with this much confidence? No. So we worked on the Linux systems in the company. Even though I am a developer, I worked on the Linux machines. We have to. We have to work on the Linux machines. Got it? Now, if I don't know Linux, I can't teach this workshop. Good. So we are able to see our project build got success. Maven package is created. Our war file is available. Now I want to deploy it. Go to our pipeline process. What is completed now? What is completed now? Two stages completed. What are the two stages? Git stage completed, Maven stage completed. What is the next step? Docker. I need to create a Docker image. Do you know the command to create the Docker image? What is the command to create the Docker image? Docker build -t image name space dot. To create the Docker image, what is required? Docker file is required. Check it in my Git repository. Docker file available or not? Available. What is there in the Docker file? Tomcat server, 8080 port number, and copy the war file from our machine to copy the war file to Tomcat server. Who will install the Tomcat? Programmer will install Tomcat or Docker will install the Tomcat. Containerization. For my project, Docker file is available. By using this Docker file, I want to create Docker image. Can we do that? Yes. Go to pipeline. Go to the pipeline. Job. How to edit the pipeline? How to edit the pipeline? Go here and click on configure. Go to pipeline. Tell me the stage now. I want to write one more stage. Just copy this. Just add it. So what is this? Docker image. I'm writing a stage with a name called Docker image. Tell me the command. Tell me the command. Docker build -t image name. I'm going to give the image name as Ashok IT space dot. Ashok IT space dot. It will use the Docker file in the present working directory and it should create a Docker image. Clear? Good. Click on apply. Click on save, guys. Save it. So how many stages available now? 3 stages. Earlier, 2 stages. Cloning, Maven build. Now, Docker stage is also added. Click on build now. It will fail because the Docker is not installed. Git cloning is success. Maven build will be success. Docker stage is failed. Why the Docker stage is failed? In this machine, Docker is not installed. In this machine, Docker is not installed. Go to the number 5 and see the console output. Scroll down. Build success. That means war is created. Up to Maven, it is success. Then after what we have done, Docker command I am executing. But what it is saying? Sorry. It is saying Docker not found. What I need to do? I need to install Docker in this machine. Okay. To install Docker in this machine, in my Git repository, I have given the command. Okay. Now, so go to our Git repository. Go to our command Git repository. Yeah. What is this? What is this? Set up Docker in Jenkins. Just copy this code. Just copy this code. Go to your machine and what it is going to do? Install Docker in the Jenkins machine so that we can create Docker images in our machine. Docker is getting installed. Almost completed, guys. Yes, fine. So with this, what happened? Docker is installed in the Jenkins machine. Can we see Docker images? Permission denied. Okay, let me exit and let me connect back. Yes, I connected back to this machine. Yep. Let's verify. What is this? Docker images. So what it is saying? No, there are no Docker images in our system. Once this Docker is installed, guys, let us restart our Jenkins. Once we install the Docker, let us restart our Jenkins server. To restart the Jenkins server, go to Jenkins URL and here let us type a command called restart. Okay, so Jenkins is restarted. Let's type username and let's type password. Click on sign in. Right. So with this, I'm able to restart. Are you sure want to restart the Jenkins? Yes. Please wait while Jenkins is restarting. Why I am doing the restart? Docker is installed in the Jenkins. Okay. When it is installed, permissions are required. For that, I am restarting my Jenkins machine. How I restarted? In the address bar, I am typing /restart URL pattern. With this, my Jenkins server got restarted. Then login with my username and password. So with this, I'm able to log in back to my Jenkins machine. Now, so before going to execute the pipeline, check it in the system. Any Docker image is available. In the system, Docker image is not available. Okay, let's go and run this pipeline. Job 2, how many times we have already executed? 5 times. 5th time it is failed. Why it is failed? Docker was not installed. Let's click on build now. Build number 6 is going to execute. It is running. Yes, git clone success. Maven build will be success. Finally, Docker image stage is executing. Docker image stage is executing. It is running. It is running. Hope for the best. हो जाएगा. Congratulations. We are able to build Docker image also by using Jenkins, right? Let's click on this build number. Go to console output. Scroll down. Finished success. So here it executed our command, Docker build command. Last time we got a error, Docker not found. This time our command is executed successfully. We are able to see the job is executed with the success status. For cross checking, cross verification, Docker images. Yes, Ashok IT Docker image is created. Once image is created, can we create the container now? Can we create the container now? So any containers already available? Docker PS. Any container available? Container not available. Now, this is a Java web application which will run by using Tomcat server. What is the port number of the Tomcat? 8080. Jenkins port number? 8080. Tomcat will run in the container, no problem. But the host port, can I map it to 8080 on the host machine? No. Why I can't map to 8080 on the host machine? In the host machine, Jenkins already using 8080. So I need to map Tomcat port number to some other port number in the machine. Okay, let me create Docker container. Go to this job. Let's write one more stage. Configure. Go to the pipeline and add one more stage. What is the stage now? Final stage. What is the final stage? Docker run -d -p 9090:8080. Why not 8080:8080? This is a container port. Tomcat will use 8080. That port I want to map to host port. In the host port, Jenkins already using 8080. That's why I am mapping this to 9090. So Docker run -d -p 9090:8080 space image name. What is the image name I have given? Ashok IT. Give that. That's it. So if this command is executed, what will happen? If this command is executed, what will happen? Docker container will be created. Inside the container, our application will be available. So for this container, Docker run -d -p, I can give some name also, which is Ashok IT container. Ashok IT C I am giving as a container name, and my image name is Ashok IT. Click on apply, click on save. Okay, good. How? 1 minute. Configure, pipeline. Stage name should be unique, guys. Yeah. So what is the name I am going to give here? Deployment. So I'm creating the container which is called deploying our application. Docker run -d -p 9090:8080. This is the Tomcat port number, host port number. Why I am not using here 8080? Host machine already using 8080 for the Jenkins. That's why I am mapping to different port number 9090. What is this double hyphen name? My container name. Then what is this? My image name. Click on apply, click on save. Okay. So 6 times already we executed, but container is not created. Let us verify our containers now. Docker ps-a. There is no running container. There is no stopped container also. Let's go to Jenkins. Okay. What is the option? Build now. What is the trigger number? 7. Click on build now. 7th build is going to execute with all 4 stages. Git cloning, Maven build, image creation, container creation. Deployment is happening now. Yes, deployment also completed successfully. What is the host port? 9090. How to access that application now? How to access that application now? By using 9090 port number. Before that, let us cross check container is really created or not. Yes, container is created 25 seconds ago. What is the port mapping? Container port 8080, host port 9090. Now go to our host machine, enable that port number in the security group. So here we are going to enable inbound rules. 8080 we enabled for Jenkins. Now 9090 we are enabling for application. Okay. So click on save rules. My port number is enabled. Go to public IP, go to browser, public IP of the machine 9090/ my application URL Maven web-app. Yes, we are able to access our Java web application which is running in the Docker container. Now, from now onwards, if there is any code change, what I need to do? If any developer modify the code in the project, what I need to do now? Just we need to click on build now. As a developer, you will do that. Who will do all this pipeline creation, Jenkins setup and all? DevOps people will do that. So tomorrow, once you modify your code, once you commit your code into the GitHub, if you want to deploy your code, what you will do? Log in into Jenkins and click on build now. If you click on build now, what Jenkins is going to do? A job will execute. What that job will do? Take the latest code, build it by using Maven and create the Docker image and create the Docker container. So this time here the deployment is failed. The reason is duplicate names for the container. Container already available with a name called Ashok ITC. So here what it is happening? Conflict. What it is saying? Conflict. Already one container using this name. That's why conflict is coming. Now what I am going to do in this job, configure, before going to create a new container, I will do sh docker stop my container name. Whatever the container already available, I will stop it. Then sh docker remove Ashok IT container. Okay. So with this name, if the container is available, I'm stopping that container. Then I am removing that container. Then I am creating new container for that. Then we don't get the conflict problem. Existing containers I'm deleting, new containers I'm going to create. Click on apply, click on save. Now let me run this job for 9th time. Click on build now. Ninth build is running. Now verify. Yes, this time it got success. Why it got success? Go here, 9th console output. What happened to this? What it is deleting for deleting? First it is stopping the running container. Then it is going to remove the it is removing the stopped container. Then it is creating the new container. Now, so here in my application, if you see the message is coming like this. My application is accessible. So all the best, my dear friend. One message available. I want to delete this message from my code. I want to change the code in the project and I want to deploy the latest code now. Go to GitHub repository. So that is a JSP file in the project. Go to web app. Go to index.jsp. Here there is a line called all the best, my dear friend is available. Edit this, remove this. Okay. Now, so I'm keeping this, I'm removing that message. That means, can I say code is modified? Yes, code is modified. Then commit your code to Git repository. My code is committed to Git repository. Now, but in the server, old code is available or new code is available? Old code is available. Code modified by the developer in the GitHub. Now, I want to deploy latest code in the Docker container. What I need to do? Do I need to clone, build manually or just button dabana hai? Just we need to click on the button. Then it is going to perform all the activities. Yes, go to Jenkins. Go to Jenkins. Already 9 times it is executed. Now I am going to execute it 10th time. As a developer, your duty is button clicking only. So the remaining activities will done by DevOps engineers. Now you click on build now. You click on build now. 10th build is going to execute. After 10th build is executed, check your application. Latest code is deployed or not. Yes, latest code is deployed. Go and refresh the URL. Yes, latest code is deployed in the server or not. So now how much time it will take to do the build and deployment? Just 5 seconds of time. You just need to click on the button. This is called automated build and deployment process. Earlier, people used it to perform build and deployment manually. Lot of times they have to do this work. Repeated work they have to do again and again. There is a chance of doing some mistakes also. But now, in my project, 10 developers available. So frequently they are modifying the code and they want to deploy the latest code. So for the project, for every project, one Jenkins pipeline will be created like this. For every microservice, one Jenkins pipeline will be created like this. When the developer want to deploy the latest code, they just need to run the Jenkins pipeline by using a option called build now option. Okay. So if you click on build now, the job is going to execute. What this Jenkins job is doing? This is called our DevOps project. So whatever we have done today, that is one project for the DevOps people. Creating the Jenkins pipeline, taking the code from the GitHub, package it by using Maven, create a Docker image for that, and create container by using Docker image. Git plus Maven plus Docker plus Jenkins integration we are performing. This is called one DevOps project. And can we see one magic now? If you modify the code, automatically job should be executed. Currently, when the code is modified, automatically code is deployed or I am clicking on the build now option. I am clicking on the build now option. That is called on-demand build process, which is called on-demand build process. On-demand build process means whenever you want, then you run the job. Whenever you want, you run the job. I am lazy. I don't want to do that also. If I change the code, Jenkins only should start the job automatically. CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment. If code is modified, immediately job should be executed. I no need to click that button also. Are you guys getting my point? Now, if a code is modified, automatically deployment is not happening. Automatically job is not executing. Now, I need to run the job manually. Then Jenkins will perform all the operation. But I am lazy. I don't want to click that button also. Automatically, if a code is modified, Jenkins job should be triggered. CI/CD. When the code is integrated, deployment should happen. Continuous integration, continuous deployment. Can we achieve that? Yes. Now, let us see. Go to Jenkins job. There is an option called configure option is available. Now, scroll down, scroll down. Here there is an option. Can you read this one? Build triggers. Build triggers means when you want to run the job. Build trigger means when you want to run the job. If you select one option, build periodically, then you need to give the schedule. If I give the schedule with 5 stars, every 1 minute job will execute. Are you getting my point? Whether code is modified or code is not modified, Jenkins will not bother about that. What is the duty of the Jenkins now? If I go for build periodically, it is going to execute the job for every 1 minute. Okay. Do you mean really every minute? When you say 5 stars, these 5 stars are representing cron expression, guys. So that cron expression is meaning is every 1 minute schedule. For every 1 minute, job is going to execute. But what is the use? If there is no code modified, what is the use of executing the job for every 1 minute? Is there any use available or there is no use available? There is no use available. Let's see that. Let us see that configuration. What is the option I selected? Build periodically. What is the schedule I have given? 5 stars. 5 stars means every 1 minute. Okay. Save this job now. Apply. Save it. Already how many times it executed? 10 times it executed. What is the last execution time? Feb 24, 1:53 p.m. Let's wait and observe the Jenkins. I'm not doing anything. My hands are free. Just abracadabra magic. What happened? Start ho gaya build. Why it started? Automatically for 1 minute. At 1:59, job is triggered. 1:59 job is triggered. At 2 p.m, one more trigger will happen. Observe that. Just a minute gap. Just a minute gap. People who are watching in the YouTube, I hope you are enjoying the session. Yes, come on guys, check it. Check it. Automatically, the build is triggered. At 1:59, 11th build happened. At 12th build happened exactly at 2 p.m. What is the time period gap? Just 1 minute. So that is the schedule that we have given. That is the schedule that is given. Okay. Now again, what will happen? 13th build will trigger at 2:1 p.m. So that is the schedule. So that option is called build periodically option. That option is called build periodically. You can configure for every 15 minutes. You can configure for every 1 hour. You can configure daily at 10 a.m., at 2 p.m., at 8 p.m. Like that, you can give the schedule also. Based on the given schedule, my Jenkins job is going to execute. But really, is there any use with this option? Every 1 minute it is executing, but nobody modified the code. Now, what I want to do is Jenkins, for every 1 minute, observe carefully. Hey Jenkins, for every 1 minute, you check with the GitHub. For every 1 minute, you check with the GitHub. If a code is modified, then only you trigger the job. If a code is not modified, you don't trigger the job. Are you getting my point? Now, every 1 minute job is triggering. I don't want that. Every 1 minute, you check with GitHub. For every 1 minute, you check with GitHub. GitHub will tell you code is modified or not modified. If not modified, keep quiet. There is no use to redeploy the same code again. If a code is modified, then you trigger the job. So I want to do that setting now. Can we do that? Yes. So let's go to the Jenkins job, configure option, go to build trigger, remove periodically option. If I remove this, now we are cool. Job is not going to execute for every 1 minute. If I don't give any trigger here, if I don't give any trigger, manual. Whenever you want, you need to run the job manually. Now, here there is an option called poll SCM. There is an option called poll SCM. Select poll SCM. Now write the schedule with 5 stars. We are able to achieve this. So what is the schedule? Every 1 minute. Is it periodical build or it is a poll SCM build? Poll SCM build. Poll SCM build nothing but every 1 minute it will communicate with the GitHub for code modification. If any developer modified the code, then only build will trigger. If code is not modified, build will not be triggered. Are you clear? Let's configure poll SCM, then apply and save it. Okay, already 14 times our build is executed. 14 times build is executed. Now keep quiet for 1 minute and see. Any code changes? No. So build will trigger or build will not trigger? Will not be triggered. When the build will be triggered? If code change is available, then only build trigger. Manually or automatically? So this is called real CI/CD. Continuous integration, continuous deployment. When the code is modified, automatically build should be triggered. Now, after 14th, build is not triggered because in the GitHub, there is no code change. Now, can I go to GitHub and can I make some code changes? Yeah, go here, edit this JSP file, call us. So there are two numbers are available, guys. Let me give the number as some 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I modified the mobile number. So that is a code change only. So now let us do commit. Code is committed in the GitHub. Now go to Jenkins. Go to Jenkins. I just committed my code to GitHub and I'm watching my Jenkins. Yes, can you see? Can you see what happened? 15th build is triggered. Why the 15th build is getting triggered? 15th build is triggered because code is modified. So from actual mobile number, I updated the mobile number to 1235. Now deployment completed successfully. Go to this project, refresh. What is the existing number? Old code. Refresh. The latest code is deployed or not? Latest code is deployed. Can I go and change the code again? How many times the job is executed? 15 times the job is executed. Now go to the GitHub and edit the file. Let us configure the real number. I'm configuring my real number. Let us do commit. Again, code is modified. Go to Jenkins and observe. What is happening? 16th build is triggered. Okay, whenever there is a code change, immediately the job is getting triggered. Now, so from 1, 2, 3, 4, I have updated the mobile number back to original mobile number. Code deployment is completed. So are we able to automate build and deployment process? How we are able to automate build and deployment process? By using Jenkins. Now tell me, do you think that people will not use Jenkins in the project? People will not use Jenkins in the project. Every project will use Jenkins. What is Jenkins? What is Jenkins? It is a CI/CD software. What is the meaning of CI/CD software? Continuous integration and continuous deployment. Earlier, people use it to perform this build and deployment process manually. Now we are automating build and deployment process with the help of Jenkins. How many ways are there to trigger the job now? 3 ways available. First one, manual trigger. You go and you click on the button. Second option, build periodically. Based on the schedule, automatically the build will be triggering. Every minute, every hour, every 12 hours, every 1 hour, like that you can write the cron expression. But I want to execute the job only when there is a code change. I want to execute that only when there is a code change. We will use poll SCM option with the 5 stars. Why that 5 stars in the poll SCM? Every 1 minute, you check with the GitHub what is the code change. If code is changed, then only run. Otherwise, don't run. After 16th build, I have not made any code changes. So job is triggered or not triggered? Not triggered. After 16th build number, there is no code changes in the GitHub. That's why my job is not triggered. If I made code change, if I make code change, automatically job will be triggered. Now, are we able to complete this project setup? Git, Maven, Jenkins, and Docker. In future, Kubernetes will come. In the future, Kubernetes will come for the deployment. So currently, we are creating Docker container directly. In future, Kubernetes will come into picture for the deployment process. Yes, sir. In the Linux machine directly. I installed Docker in the Linux. Maven we installed in the Jenkins server. Docker we installed directly on the Linux machine. Okay. No, you can't do that. How Jenkins will trigger? Like dev sit UAT. It depends on the situation. In general, for every environment, one pipeline will be created. Okay. Dev pipeline, sit pipeline, like that. Currently, I created one pipeline. Okay. So you can write multiple pipelines for every environment. That is one approach. Second approach is you can create Jenkins job with the dynamic parameters. How do we pass command line arguments to the Java program? Similarly, for the Jenkins job also, you can pass the parameters. So in which environment you want to deploy, you can give as an input while running the Jenkins job. So these are 2 ways. Some people will go with every environment separate pipeline. Some people one pipeline with multiple environments. Good. Any other questions? I hope you enjoyed what is Jenkins and how to use Jenkins. But are you going to do all these things as a developer? No. So what is your duty as a developer? Button dabao. So whenever there is a code change, you just log in into the Jenkins and you click on the button. Who will take care of all this setup, guys? This is infrastructure setup. DevOps engineers are responsible to set up the Jenkins server, create the Jenkins pipeline, and schedule the Jenkins pipeline. So as they are going to do the setup of the Jenkins and all, they need to take care of Jenkins security. They need to take care of Jenkins cluster. They need to take care of Jenkins backup. They need to take care of users login in the Jenkins. Okay, that's why in the DevOps batch, Jenkins classes will happen for 1 week of time. Okay, so one day we will teach them how to write the pipeline. Second day, how to secure our Jenkins, how to give access for the developers in the Jenkins. Now, every developer will have Jenkins login access. So as a developer, if you log in into your company Jenkins server, you will have option only to run the job. You cannot modify the job. You cannot delete the job. You cannot create the job. Your permissions will be limited. Your access will be limited in the Jenkins. That will be taken care by DevOps administrators. Are you clear? So as a developer, if you have this knowledge, this is more than sufficient to answer Jenkins question in the interview. For the developers, what they will ask is, what is the deployment process of your application? How many stages are available in the Jenkins pipeline? Do you know how to write the Jenkins pipeline? Have you ever used Jenkins to deploy your code? How do you deploy your code into dev environment? These questions they are going to ask you. So you need to tell Jenkins is a free and open source software. It is developed using Java. In the Jenkins, we will create the pipeline. Pipeline, nothing but set of stages will be available. In my pipeline, Git to cloning is one stage, Maven build is one stage, and Docker image creation is one stage, and project deployment is one stage. Along with this, other stages also will be available. Code review, SonarQube one stage will come. Nexus one stage will come. Image will be pushed to Docker Hub. One more stage will come. 6 to 7 stages will be available in the Jenkins pipeline in the real time. So for the CI and CD. Okay. So if you see in my previous DevOps batch, I have explained one DevOps project, guys. If you go to Ashok IT YouTube channel, in the Ashok IT YouTube channel, so if you see videos, if you go to popular videos here, there is one video available, DevOps project setup. 1.5 hours I explained DevOps project setup. In this video, I explained how to integrate SonarQube in the Jenkins pipeline, how to integrate Nexus also in the Jenkins pipeline. What is the purpose of SonarQube? Code review. So when I run the job, code review should happen by using Sonar, and my code will be packaged as a jar file or war file. That war file or jar file should be uploaded to Nexus Artifactory server. That is also one stage in the pipeline. So depends on the project requirement, number of stages will be available. In some projects, CD will be available, CI will be available. CI CD we are doing in one job now, but in the real time, CI will be one job, CD will be another job. CI means in that job what will happen. So let us see in the real time how CI CD will be happening. So they will create one job. So in the project, CI job will be available. In the CI job, we are going to write a stage, git to clone, Maven build. Maven build will be available. Then Sonar will be available. Nexus will be available. Docker image creation will be available. Image push will be available. Image push. That means whatever the Docker image is created, the Docker image will be pushed into Docker Hub. Then one more job will be created. That job is called CD job. CI means continuous integration. CD means continuous deployment. In this job, what will happen? In this job, git to clone for Kubernetes manifest file. Kubernetes YML file will be there in the GitHub. Download that Kubernetes YML file from the GitHub. Then it is going to deploy our application in the cluster. CI job is separate, CD job is separate. In the CI job, clone YML file for the Kubernetes. Once the YML is cloned, then do the deployment in the Kubernetes. Now, as a developer, what we will do? We will run the CI job. So what CI job will do? Clone the code, package, image creation, code review, Nexus upload, image push to the Docker Hub. Then once the CI job is executed successfully, CI job will trigger CD job. You will run the CI job will trigger CD. So CI process, CD process will be different. One job is going to trigger another job. In the DevOps interview, for one of our DevOps student, they asked this question. How do you trigger one job from the other job? If I run one job, that job should run the another job. So this is the scenario in the real time. We don't do everything by using single job. So our project CI/CD process will be divided into two parts: continuous integration, continuous deployment. If you run the CI, it will do some activities. Once it is successful, it will trigger CD. Are you able to follow this? Right. So you can trigger one job from another job in the Jenkins. Okay. How do we trigger one job from the another job in the Jenkins? Now you see this. Go to configure pipeline. So here my deployment stage is completed, right? After the deployment, I can write one more stage to trigger another job also. For that, go for pipeline syntax. In the pipeline syntax, snippet is available. Sample step. What is the option? Build job. Now, what is the job name? What is your second job that you want to execute? So Ashok IT job 1. Ashok IT job 1. That job, click on generate script. If you write like this, build job name. So one job will call another job. So you can trigger CD job from the CI job. This configuration also will be there in the real time. Who will take care of this? DevOps team is going to take care of all these pipeline creation process. As a developer, what is our duty? Run that job, but you practice. So this, whatever the document that is required for you, Jenkins setup document, very clearly available in the GitHub, guys. Document number is 4. So how to set up Jenkins in the Linux, then how to configure Maven as a global tool, how to set up Docker, how to create the Jenkins job, how to trigger the job, how to enable port numbers, access the application. Once your practice is completed, you delete the machine. Why we need to delete the machine? That is a medium machine. Bill is generating. For every hour, bill will be calculated. So once your practice is completed, you just go to the machine and go to the instance. There is an option called terminate the machine. That machine I am going to delete from my account. Then bill will not be generated. Are you clear? So any use of attending this class? Almost 2 hours. At 5:40, I think we started. Now it is 7:40 or 7:45. 2 hours. Very, 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 very important session. I will share the notes document, GitHub repository. Video is already available in the YouTube live, guys. So same video is there in the live also. Now, after the class is completed, you can watch this video also for your practice purpose. So today and tomorrow, I want you people to practice this Jenkins CI/CD pipeline creation. Okay, YouTube people, I think 75 people watching in YouTube. Please like this video and comment. Subscribe. For the Zoom people, I'm giving WhatsApp group link in the chat box. Join in that. You will get the notes and you will get the video. This pipeline script also I will give in the notes, guys. I will share in the WhatsApp group. Okay, good. Thank you. With this, we are done for today. So we completed what is Jenkins, how to work with Jenkins. Now, I deployed a normal Java web application. If I want to deploy Spring Boot application, what is the change in the pipeline? Just I need to change the Git repository URL. Already Docker file is there in the GitHub only, right? So that every process is same. I have taken Maven project repository. If you take Spring Boot repository URL, same process, everything you need to execute. You got it? Good. Thank you, guys. With this, I am stopping for today. And thank you for attending. Bye-bye. Tata. Happy weekend. We'll meet again on Monday. And tomorrow, there is a free workshop, Spring Boot with ChatGPT integration. Okay. So how Spring Boot can communicate with the ChatGPT directly. That workshop is there tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. That is an online workshop. Please do attend that workshop also. I hope you already using ChatGPT. What you are doing in the ChatGPT? Searching for some queries, right? Same thing Spring Boot will do now. You send the request to Spring Boot will communicate with the ChatGPT, will get the answers for you. So how do we integrate Spring Boot application with ChatGPT? In the tomorrow workshop, we are going to learn. Tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. online workshop is available. In the WhatsApp groups, you will get that link. I think already you got it. Check it once. You got it, right? Yeah, good. Thank you, guys.